Oh, wait for people to arrive. One person. Hello to the one person who's here. Hello. I know you. Hello, Dinobot. It's been a while. How are you? I'm good. Hope I don't look too different. Just wait for a few more people to arrive, and then we'll go for a quick Q&A. It's not going to be hugely long because, yeah, life. But I will do my best. Do 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 do. Yeah, not bad. Hello to the second person, whoever they are. Show yourself. Yeah, no, you can ask about Primeval. I'll do my best. Just be aware I've not seen New World, so I can't answer anything about New World. But I would absolutely love for Primeval to come back. Oh yes, I have a friend who loves Primeval as well, and we're hoping to. We have an idea of how to revive it if we were ever successful enough to to get green lit. Put it that way. Well, there's only 2 people here, so I'm not sure who the other person is, but kind of need more people if I'm gonna do this. Yeah, I heard about the new novel. Yes, I'm not much of a reader, so I probably won't be reading it anytime soon. Maybe if I can pick it up for cheap, or I might rent it if I'm curious. But yeah, no, I've heard about it. I hope it does well. I hope it's kind of brings more attention back to the show because it does need more attention. Where's my charger? Oh, come on, people. Where are we? There's normally loads more people that turn up. But maybe I've scheduled this a bit too late. So yeah. For now, you can ask me more questions. I guess it's just you and this one other person who isn't asking. Ah, hello, Awesome Productions. I thought it was you. I'm joking. Your question. Any predictions from where they might go for the next Planet of the Apes film? Well, I don't know if this is 100% certain, but when I watched Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, I felt that the ending was leaning more towards the 68 movie. I feel like the new trilogy, well, apparently it's going to be like a 9-part saga if you include the Caesar trilogy. Apparently I think it's going to end up preluding the original films because initially it was a reboot, but because it's set like 300 years later, and I don't know if you've seen Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, but slight spoiler with the satellites at the end, it looks as though they're trying to contact, you know, that's all I'll say. They're trying to contact forces outside of them, which could potentially prelude Taylor. That might be a call for Taylor to land on the Earth in the sort of 68 movie. Not to say that it will be directly after Kingdom, obviously, but there'll be another couple of movies at least with this set of characters. So I think it's going to sort of potentially lead up to that. I'd love it to do that. I think it'd be great because there were certain moments in Kingdom where there were connections, should we say, like homages to the other films. I won't spoil it for anyone who hasn't seen the movie, but the scene where they go into the vault and they pick up a certain toy, you know what I mean. But I think it's going to be interesting because Noah and May don't really agree on who owns the planet. So I don't think they're well. I don't think they ever really had a friendship. I think they're going to be almost two opposing forces. I think in a lot of ways because she's obviously going to argue for humanity to reclaim what they lost, but Noah's like, well, the apes rule the world now, so it's why the humans shouldn't even bother taking the Earth back. It's an interesting concept, and I think that it will almost kind of mirror or continue the arguments that were set up, in other films. Mm. Yeah, that would have been interesting. But then Series 3 might not have had a story, or they would have found a new antagonist. It's a shame that they had to write Helen out that way that they did in Series 3. I feel like Series 3 is where the show starts to go a bit wrong, in my opinion. Not that it's all bad. There's certainly some good stories in Series 3, but as a show, it's not run very well. It's very messy in the final outcome. When you look at the story arc and how it all works out, no pun intended, of course. It's very messy, and a lot of things are unresolved. Considering they had 10 episodes to do it, it does feel like a lot of things are kind of afterthoughts, and split decisions were made, like obviously Cutter's exit, and then Danny Quinn coming in, and Jenny leaving. A lot of things just felt out of flux for that, but it would have been interesting to see what would have happened if Stephen lived. I mean, they could always go back and kind of do that, go back within their own timeline and do like a Doctor Who thing and kind of change their own timeline. A bit like the episode Father's Day in Doctor Who. That would be interesting. Oh, hello, Harry. Favorite character in Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes? Oh, that's a good question. Well, Proxima Caesar is always a great one. What a wonderful day! Aside from him, though, I do like May. I'm not going to lie. I think May is really, really interesting. I like the mystery around her. I'd like to know more about May as well. I think the fact that she chooses to go silent to save her own life so that people think she's primitive, I think that's interesting. Hugo Weaving and Idris Elba were in Star Wars. What roles would you imagine them playing? I imagine Idris playing a villain. I think he would either play an alien gangster, like a bounty hunter, or he'd play like a big buff stormtrooper or something. I feel like Hugo Weaving would play a Sith. I feel like he would be better at doing that. If you've seen him in The Matrix, you know he could play villains. Or equally, he could play a member of the Jedi Council, because like he played a member of the Elvish Council in Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. So there's ample opportunities. Which one episode Primeval guest star character would you like to have seen appear again, like Taylor Craig in the Scorpion one? Yeah, Taylor. I would like to see her again. Who else? I think who else? I quite liked the character of Valerie. I thought she was interesting with the Sabretooth. I'd happily see a prequel episode with her. Yeah, I think those would be pretty cool. Well, actually, if Jenny Lewis came back, her and her husband could become a bit more of a prominent character. I think that would be interesting. Mad Max Furiosa. No, I've not seen it. I'm not really that into the Mad Max films. I mean, I watched Fury Road. I didn't really get the hype, to be honest. Like it's good, it's entertaining, but I didn't really understand it because there's so much going on. At the time I watched it, I was just kind of like trying to understand what the hell was going on. So I thought about seeing Furiosa, but part of me doesn't really want to, and part of me is like, maybe I should just wait till it comes on streaming. I don't know. I haven't actually seen the original trilogy, so I don't know if there's much point me seeing Furiosa until I've seen the other ones. So maybe I'd have to review the other Mad Max movies before I go into that. So when it comes out on Blu-ray, I might potentially buy the box set and then watch them all. I'll see how that goes. But I've heard good things. Will you see the Lion King re-release for its 30th anniversary? Oh, absolutely. And I'd love to see it with you, Harry. I think it would be fabulous to go and see that again. I did see The Lion King in 3D when it was re-released in, I think it was 2011 when Disney were re-releasing loads of movies in 3D just to earn cash. And I have seen it on stage as well, The Lion King. Oh, The Lion King is my favorite animated movie from Disney, non-CGI. It's just amazing. Is Raja Gosnell the worst filmmaker of all time? I don't know if I go that far. He's not the best, that's for sure. There's an argument to be made. His Scooby-Doo films are quite entertaining. Some of his films, I mean, I haven't seen all of his films, so I don't know if I could really be in a position to judge. But based on what I've seen, yeah, I wouldn't rate him as my favorite, to be honest. I think he directed the third Home Alone movie, which was a total mess. So, yeah, and his Scooby-Doo movies, while they're entertaining in parts, they don't really honor the cartoons very well. Although he did cast the Mystery Inc. gang very well. He did do very well with that. But I think he's a better editor because he started out as an editor, sorry. So I think that it would be better for him to go back to that. But yeah, I think his family. I think it's just the writing within his films is not the best. His direction is just. It's kind of just bog standard. You know, yeah. I don't really know what to say, to be honest. Yeah, he doesn't stand out to me. So I guess maybe there's your answer. How different do you think things would have been if Qui-Gon lived and trained Anakin instead of Obi-Wan? Well, obviously it would have affected the original trilogy because Obi-Wan is meant to die in Episode 4, as we know. So if Qui-Gon was the one that died in Episode 4, he probably would have been even older than what Obi was then and there. But I do wonder if Qui-Gon would have changed his mind about Anakin. Obviously, in Revenge of the Sith, we know Anakin turns to the dark side. So George has always said that even though the prequels, label Anakin as the chosen one, he still turns to the dark side. But George defends that because he's like, because he turns good again in Return of the Jedi. His son Luke redeems him. So it still works. It still manages to work. But Qui-Gon was always adamant that Anakin was the chosen one. He would bring balance to the Force, yada, yada, yada. And Obi-Wan was determined to follow that. So if Obi-Wan had died in The Phantom Menace, then, well, it would have made him a weightless character, and it would have, Qui-Gon might well have got to Revenge of the Sith and would have been like, not sure if I believe this guy is the chosen one anymore. So, who knows? I think that's a good question, though. Since we are halfway through the year, what are you most looking forward to watching? Well, the next film I'm planning to watch is Inside Out 2, which comes out, I think, in 2 days' time in the UK. So, really, really excited for that. That is going to be great. I've heard the early reviews are really good. So, who knows? I mean, the first one is my favorite Pixar movie of all time. No pressure. No pressure. What do you think Warner Brothers and J.K. Rowling would need to do to make people love Fantastic Beasts 4 and 5? I think go into it telling a great story. Because I think at the heart of it, Fantastic Beasts, as much as I enjoyed the first one and the third one, the script writing isn't the best. And I think that's partly because J.K. has been doing that. So I think having a different writer for the films to translate her vision would be better. So I think they know where they want to go. It's not the destination, it's the journey. It's the getting there. Getting there is so muddled because there's so many characters. I think honestly the best thing for Beasts 4, if they go ahead with it, strip it back to the bare minimum of characters that you need. What is essential to the narrative, what isn't, then cut that out. Because Crimes of Grindelwald just threw everything in there. And it was a mess, unfortunately. Not a terrible movie. I still think there are decent parts to it, but it is a mess. There's no doubt about that. The third one was slightly better. But even so, again, same issue. Too many characters involved for different reasons. Although Mads Mikkelsen is certainly a highlight, that's for sure. But I just don't know. Yeah, and I feel like honestly at this point, Jacob and Queenie, you probably don't need them because they're married now and their story's ended. Really, you could bring Tina back and have Newt become more of a protagonist now. And although it does seem to have veered into more of the Dumbledore story, it's building up to Dumbledore versus Grindelwald for the last one. I would like to see them finish it, but I don't know if they'll do that. The box office takings haven't been great for the last two films, and obviously a lot of controversy around The Secrets of Dumbledore with Johnny Depp, Ezra Miller, J.K. Rowling. who knows? But I would hope that the Cursed Child show is on. That's made people love the series again, and there's obviously the new show coming out, and the Hogwarts Legacy has also made people love this franchise again, despite J.K. Rowling's comments. But I mean, we don't really know what she said and whatnot. And also, like, The Prisoner of Azkaban was re-released recently for its anniversary, so I would have thought that that would mean that there's still enough love and enough attention for this franchise, but I don't know. I mean, films live and die by the box office. This is an interesting question. Not one I expected from you. Since I had a bad day with work, my question is: when you have mistakes at work, how much does it feel your fault over the other factors? No, I'm happy to answer that. It really depends, because over the years, sometimes I take things to heart. If I'm in a bad mood, or if I'm depressed, or I'm quite sensitive at times. Sometimes the little things can hurt, but if I make certain tiny-ish mistakes that I make, if they don't impact too much, I'll just be like, "Oh, okay, I'm very sorry. I'll try not to do that again and just move on." If it's a big thing, I might beat myself up a bit more over it. I've made some big mistakes in the past. The only time I made a serious mistake where I almost lost my job was in my first job. I was left in a situation where I was on my own and I was a little bit stressed, and I didn't check a banknote that was fraudulent, and I nearly lost my job. But one of the other managers convinced the store manager to keep me, but talk to me about it. So I was very lucky to have kept my job. But I had somebody fight in my corner because he believed that I was good and that I was left, unhelped. So he gave me a bollocking, as it was called. So it depends on the situation, really, is the answer to your question. I would say if you feel that sensitive about it, speak to your manager and be like, how bad is this mistake? I'm really sorry about this. What can I do to improve? Just, again, it's common sense, really. But at the same time, if it's a little thing and they're grilling you for it, all you can do is apologize and say, "Oh, I'm sorry. What's done is done. Can we not move on?" As long as you're reasonable, then that's all you can say. I hope you're okay, though. Yeah, oh, fuck's sake. I keep losing my questions. There we are. Is Matt Smith an underrated doctor? I think he is, actually, yeah. I don't see people talk about him as much anymore. I think he's let down by the writing in a lot of his stories. The writing is really not very good in some of his era, but he was consistent. And I think to follow David Tennant, I had to choose someone who was really going to take it somewhere else. And Smith does a good job, I think. He makes his Doctor very goofy and comedic and sort of all happy flappy. I don't know if that's the right word to use, but yeah, you definitely believe he's an alien. Let's put it that way. But as time went on, he managed to nail the dramatic stuff quite well. I just wish the scripts were better. That's all I can say. But if he returns for future anniversaries, then I'm totally up for that. I always have respect for Matt Smith as the Doctor. Very nice guy. He seems very down to earth, very genuine bloke, talented actor. I believe he really did become a good Doctor after David Tennant. How differently do you think it would have been if Cutter didn't die in Series 3, Episode 3? Well, I've heard that he would have been in Episode 10 with Helen at the end, which would have made a lot more sense, because at that point, Danny didn't really know Helen, so it was a bit of a weird climax to invest in. And I think potentially it would have been a bit more of an epic climax. The last episode of Series 3 is so disappointing. It really is. It's just so flat, and it's so convoluted. It makes no sense. Like, why does she want to kill the First Eight? She just wants to play God and change evolution to her will. Like, why? It's it's like a very mad scientist kind of thing. I don't really gel with that. Do you think the live action How to Train Your Dragon remake would be worst movie of 2025? Potentially, but I don't know. I'd have to see it to find out, to be honest. Is May a good person? I think she has bad plans, personally. Depends on how you look at it, and I think it's an interesting argument, because from the human's perspective, she's a very good person because she's trying to fight for them. But from the ape's perspective, she could potentially be a dangerous person. And there's that scene where Noah questions her and then he asks for her help to break into the vault, where he's like asking her questions, and he's like, you know, da 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 da, true or false. So I think he's weary of her intentions, and yeah, it's so I think it depends on who you root for, really. But I would say, yeah, from Abe's perspective, she's potentially not to be trusted. Human's perspective, yeah, she's great because she's going to help save humanity or rebuild humanity. But she's a dark character. I mean, she of what's let's just say what happens to Trevathan, that is that really cements her as a complex character. So yeah, but well played by Freya Allen. I thought she did a good job. Was it a bad decision killing off Proximus Caesar? It was slightly disappointing in terms of that we didn't get to see him more. But if there was nothing else for him to do, then yeah, I suppose so. I mean, it depends on how the next film goes. Really, I quite liked his death. I thought it was well handled with the eagles. Essentially, Proximus is just this pompous, egotistical king who really is just vain, and he's just again trying to play God. He's trying to evolve quicker than anyone else has before. So I don't know. Yeah, it's one of those weird things, but it's hard to say really whether they've killed him off too early. Potentially, who knows? What would be a good plot for the next Apes movie? Well, I don't really know. I think that where it's going to go is the humanity is going to try to resurface, because there's obviously some humans who have survived and are hiding out. So the fact that they're generations on, there's still a little bit of humanity left, I think is interesting, because it may be that they try to reclaim, and I think that's what May is intending. But then how do you rebuild after so much damage, and many generations of apes ruling? It's going to be interesting. But I think I think Noah is going to obviously continue to be the protagonist. I'd like to get to know him more and the clan a bit more, but we'll have to see. I've no idea what the plot will be. Oh yeah, Primeval video game, that would be great. I think you'd want to keep it sort of fairly open world, especially because of all the anomalies. I think you should play as the humans and you should play as the dinosaurs. This reminds me actually of the video game of Peter Jackson's King Kong, which is 2005. You got to play as Jack Driscoll and fire the artillery and shoot the dinosaurs and shoot the creatures. But then you also played as Kong and you fought the dinosaurs with combat. So you should be able to play as all the creatures. I think that would be great. So that's how I would do it. I'd do it like look up Peter Jackson's King Kong video game PS2. You'll see how it's done. I mean, okay, not technically a question, but yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I agree. Toy Story 5 totally unnecessary. They got away with the fourth one. I think they personally got away with it just about because of the writing. They did something surprisingly amazing with the story and Woody's journey. The fifth is just a cash grab. Yeah. Do you think Gollum could have been redeemed if the incident with the Rangers at the waterfall hadn't happened? Potentially, yeah, because he was at that point starting to semi-trust Frodo. Well, Smeagol was anyway, not Gollum, if you know what I mean. But yeah, and he blamed. I never really sort of realized this until watching it in the cinema recently. Is that Smeagol, or sort of Gollum and Smeagol, really blamed Frodo for that incident, and they thought it was his fault that Faramir and his men sort of tricked Gollum and captured him and then started beating him up. And even though in the extended cut they tried to resolve that when Sam says, Mr. Frodo didn't mean for those Rangers to hurt you, no hard feelings. There are feelings. Of course not, my precious. So, yeah, that you can look at it which way you want, but I think there is a chance he could have been redeemed. And, Frodo saw that there was a good side to him that really wanted to come out. But sadly, his greed and his connection with the ring destroyed him. Really, I haven't seen Scott Pilgrim or Baby Driver. I'm so sorry. I will watch it at some point. Who's most at fault for the fall of the Republic and the rise of the Empire for you? Well, I guess Palpatine, obviously, because he orchestrated the whole plan and he was the one that manipulated Anakin, and But then you could also argue Jar Jar Binks because he gave Palpatine the emergency powers that he needed to go ahead with his plans. And then there's also Anakin, who slaughtered loads of Jedi and younglings. So it's kind of three of them, really. But I would say if I had to pick one, probably, well, Palpatine is the obvious one. As a child, what did you want to be when you grew up? Oh, good question. Up until I was about 10, I had no idea, really. No clue what I wanted to be. I was very shy as a kid. Very shy. When I was sort of like in my teenage years, I thought I want to be an actor. I found a real love and passion for performing and acting, and then over the years realized, okay, it's a great thing to do, but it's not really a sustainable career. And then I always had an interest in films. I always used to love going to the cinema, still do. Every time I saw a film with my family when I was young, excuse me, I would always ask my parents, "Oh, what was your favorite bit? Who's your favorite character?" And all of that. So I would, I guess it was always on the cards that I was gonna go down that route. But yeah, no, I never sort of looked at anything practical in terms of like life skills, in terms of like plumbing or DIY or stuff like that. I never had any interest in that. But when I was young, I didn't really know. I had no concept of a job then. I didn't even really know I had to do it because I was too young to realize. But that's a good question. I have watched some of Tarantino's movies, not many. I've seen his Kill Bill film. I watched The Hateful Eight as well, and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I believe. I didn't like it that much. What's your favorite guilty pleasure TV show? That's a good question. I'm going to say Waterloo Road. It's a British drama about a secondary school that's failing. BBC made it. It's on iPlayer. I mean, it has been revived. I mean, I think the first 10 series are my favorite. The new show I'm not so keen on. Like, it's fine, but it's not the same. If I'm going to be specific, the first 7 series, when it's set in Rochdale, are better, but then it goes to Scotland for the last 3 series, and it did dip in quality a bit. The reason I say it's a guilty pleasure is the writing isn't always great. There are some storylines which are a bit far-fetched and certain things which are slightly unbelievable. But it does tackle some good, hard-hitting subjects with the teachers and the students, and there's a lot of comedy, and it's just really entertaining. It's just really, really entertaining. There's so many characters. There's always so much going on. I like the fact that it sort of follows a school term across the whole series. It's a really good show. I think it's had its day, though. I don't think it needs to carry on, especially as the new series has just been kind of, yeah, it's been on that same kind of mediocre level for the last 3 series. Like it's fine, but yeah, if the first 7 series are sort of where I grew up watching it, and I really sort of loved it. And it's when it came back onto iPlayer during lockdown, I binged it completely. It was brilliant. Are you a morning bird or a night owl? Oh, morning bird. I have to be, especially because I work very early. I work in Stansted Airport, and I work in a retail job in there, and I have to start at 4 o'clock in the morning, and I finish at 1 in the afternoon. But I would rather work mornings. I need the evenings free. So there. Oh, congrats! I hope you enjoyed watching the 9 films, Brian. It's a good. They're good sets. They're a good set of films to watch. Do you prefer coffee or tea? Tea, although I've started drinking more coffee lately. Introvert or an extrovert? Bit of both. There are times when I'm quite introverted. and I do prefer my own company. And sometimes I don't always know what to say in situations, and I don't have a lot to say, so I don't say anything. Um, Other times I'm an extrovert if I'm really enjoying myself, if I've had a drink, or if I'm on stage performing. If I'm doing something creative, then I'm certainly an extrovert. But I think it depends on the situation. Have you seen La La Land? Yes, I have seen it. I like it. It's good, but I don't like the ending. I feel like the ending really just left a sour taste in my mouth. But it's visually very beautiful. Damien Chazelle, great filmmaker. Great filmmaker. Uh, any thoughts on Joel Schumacher's films aside from his two Batman films? I believe. Oh, I'm trying to think if I've seen them. I've seen, if I'm correct, he directed Phantom of the Opera, the film. Don't know the show very well. I've not seen the show on stage, but I enjoyed the film. I thought it was fun. Like it was well sung. But yeah, I don't really have much to say other than that. Really. Um, I mean, I'll try. I don't have a lot of money at the moment, so I'll have to see. And obviously, with new releases coming out, well, no, I mean, I was more interested in Planet of the Apes, to be honest. If I'm going to be honest, but yeah, maybe I'll give it a chance. When you die, what do you want to be remembered for? Wow, that is a good question. Obviously, not to be morbid, I don't want to think about my death or anybody's death, but hopefully, I'd be remembered for my skills and my talents, if I've got any. Hopefully, I will be remembered for doing something good with my life and being a decent person. When it comes down to it. Beyond that, I don't really know. I mean, I'm only 27, so I don't really know. I don't know how long my life's going to be, but yeah, I just hope that it will all be positive things. What's something you wish more people talked about? I don't know. Oh, it's difficult. Uh, that's a difficult one. I'm not sure how to answer that. I really don't know. Yeah, I mean, just yeah. I wish people would talk about their passions. Well, we hear so much negativity and pessimism in the news. I wish there was more positive stuff in the news. Not that there isn't, but there should be more. I think that it feels very, it feels depressing sometimes to watch the news. And you get to a point where you don't really sort of care. So yeah, that's all I can say about that. Uh, Top of my bucket list. Oh gosh, I have no idea. Top of my bucket list. Yes, I have one thing. That would be to go to New Zealand and visit the set of the Lord of the Rings, because they're my favorite films ever. Hobbiton is a real place, and it's available for a tour. So I do need to travel halfway around the world to New Zealand to see that. That would be on my bucket list. Oh fuck my bloody questions. Fucking shit. Okay, here we are. What's one thing you wish you had more time to do? Wish I had more time to do this. YouTube reviews, videos. That's kind of it, really. I have a busy life, and I want more time to be creative. I really would. If I could do it full time, then I would. But we'll see how that goes. Favorite Muppet song, Man or a Muppet? Do you think Primeval be best brought back as a comic series? Okay, well, that's not a bad idea. They could do a spin off comic series. Absolutely. I'd love to have another TV series, personally. I don't really read comics, but for the comic readers and the fans of Primeval, I think it's a good shout. What actor or filmmaker has made a big impact on your life, and how? Ooh, well, there's a couple of people. Well, firstly, Peter Jackson, who made The Lord of the Rings, was my big inspiration to get into to study films, because I saw Lord of the Rings and I was just blown away. I still am. I mean, I watched all three extended cuts in the cinema recently in the UK because they re-released them recently, and over the last weekend, that's what I did. I mean, wow, spectacular, spectacular even to this day. He taught me a lot about filmmaking, and he puts so much heart into his films. Whether you like them or not, he really invests a passion into his films, and that's what I've tried to follow with my stuff. Um, so he's my hero. He really is, and I was so pleased, to know that Return of the King won 11 Oscars. It's so well deserved. In terms of actor, probably Andy Serkis. He is my favorite actor because not only are his vocal talents amazing, he can do amazing voices. His efforts to pioneer motion capture are really inspiring. The fact that, as he described it, it's the end of typecasting. Anybody can play anything, and I think that's opens up a lot of doors, and it really has changed the way that films are now made in the industry. And again, all stemming back from Lord of the Rings, but it's obviously progressed a lot since then. So yeah, those two. Why do people hate J.K. Rowling? Is it justified? Well, there's a community within the LGBTQ plus group who, that group specifically, the trans group, who feel that J.K. Rowling besmirched them. She insulted them, and she basically said she disagreed with anybody who was trans. That's a watered down version of what she said, or at least how the media have portrayed that. I don't know. I wasn't there in person when she said this, or maybe not said this. Who knows? I asked a friend about this the other day, and she was like, "Yeah, I don't really know because I don't know what was said. I wasn't really there, so I have to kind of take it in one ear and out the other. Take it with a grain of salt." But yeah, J.K. Rowling is so wealthy that she could pretty much say anything now, and it doesn't really affect her. She can live on the royalties of Harry Potter and do nothing for the rest of her life, and she'd be absolutely fine. So whether it's justified, I don't know. It's hard to say. I think there's a part of me that says yes, because she has betrayed a core group of fans that have made her famous, and one of them being my best friend. My best friend is going through that kind of thing, and felt very insulted by what she said, and has since turned away from the franchise and has got rid of all of his Potter merchandise and the films and everything, and can't go near the content because of the fact that he would be reminded of her the whole time, which is very extreme, but I understand his point. It's a hugely emotional decision for him because he's loved the franchise for so long, and this is a bit of a slap in the face. So she really should have thought about the way she said this if she really did say it. But if the media are trying to make her out that she's against this, then that's a different story. So who knows? What inspired you to become a filmmaker? Well, I kind of answered that already. It's Peter Jackson and Lord of the Rings. As soon as I saw that, I was blown away. And I've always loved the experience of going to the cinema and the immersion of going into a dark room. The lights go down and the screen is there, and it's like, okay, entertain me, and it does just that. And it's just the whole escapism and learning how to make that kind of stuff. It's great fun. It's just great fun. And having made some of my own projects, I really get a kick out of it. I just love being creative. I really do. Which would you say is harder or more expensive to do? 2D animation, CGI, or stop motion? In terms of harder, stop motion, because you have to take pictures of every single frame, and that's how you make a film. Like, I think there was some kind of fact on Wallace and Gromit, The Curse of the Were-Rabbit, that there was I think over 14,000 photos taken for the whole film. When you look at how long the film is, that's pretty impressive. But stop motion is an amazing thing you can do. I tried it once. It's very difficult, very, very difficult and time consuming, but rewarding if you get it right. Expensive, I think, depends really. I would say CGI, because it all has to be created digitally. And as we know, most digital technology now is very expensive. 2D animation probably was expensive back in the day because it was all done on celluloid. It wasn't just the drawings. They had to obviously draw every frame, which is time consuming. So I guess either way you look at it, it's not cheap. But I think in the world we live in today, CGI is so common that it is probably the most expensive thing. But most studios just they can afford it, can't they? And obviously, like motion capture as well, that really has advanced CGI and you know innovated recording an actor's performance, but it's a more expensive way of doing it. So there we are. Favorite holiday, beach, mountain, or city? I went to Lanzarote. That was great fun in my youth. I went twice actually. That was really fun. Really enjoyed that. The last film you watched? Well, I watched my favorite movie of all time, The Lord of the Rings: The Return of the King. I watched that in the cinema yesterday. So that was the last film I watched, and it was 4 hours, but it flew by. It honestly flew by. I loved it. What film do you always cry at? Well, obviously, Return of the King is one. Inside Out, I cry at. That's my favorite Pixar film, so I cry at that. What else? There's others. Toy Story 3, actually, the furnace scene. I go at that. Surprisingly, there's probably more. There's I would say there's probably some more in there. A Monster Calls. I cried at that film. That was really sad. That was really, really sad. That was such a good film. Honestly, I'd recommend that film. Very heavy though, the heavy film, but very well done. So I'm guessing by that description you work in a pet store. Is that correct? Oh, you're welcome. No worries. Thoughts on Last Night in Soho? Really good. Love it. I really, really like the film. I wasn't crazy about the lead actress at first, but she has grown on me. What's that? What is her name? Like Mackenzie something. I forget her name, but the one who plays Ellie in Last Night in Soho. She is terrific. She was also in Jojo Rabbit. I mean, I wasn't crazy about her in M. Night Shyamalan's Old. Sorry, that's what I was meant to say. But she was pretty good in Last Night in Soho. But I don't think she was the standout performance. I think Matt Smith and Anya Taylor-Joy kind of stole the show, really. But great film. Visually, it's just amazing. The story is a really good concept. Some horrific elements in that film, but very good. Is Peter Capaldi overrated as the Doctor? Actually, you know what? I was thinking about that recently. I think he actually is slightly overrated. He is good. I like him, but my problem with Capaldi is sometimes his diction is so thick that it's kind of hard to hear what he's saying. He tends to mumble his lines quite a bit, and I didn't like what they did with him in Series 9 when they tried to make him more funny and they tried to make his Doctor comedic and this sort of punk rock star. To me, that's when I started losing interest. I just thought, no, I can't buy that. It didn't work. It was just awkward. And when he's like playing the electric guitar on the tank, it's just everyone loves that, thinks it's so cool. I thought it was kind of lame, to be honest, but it's just my opinion. But he is a good Doctor. Like he does deliver the dramatic stuff really well. I just don't think comedy is his strong suit, personally. Would you be more curious to see an alternate primary series? What Series 3 would have been if Douglas stayed on, or Series 4 if the show wasn't cancelled? Either or. I think probably the first one more. Series 3 would have been like if Douglas stayed. I think that would have been more interesting to me because I felt like there was potential for Cutter to go a little bit further. I wanted to get over Stephen's death, and potentially if him and Jenny would have left at the end of Series 3 and settled down together, or well, who knows? Or maybe they could have. They didn't really answer the Claudia Brown mystery that well. They just basically said, "Oh, she's been born as somebody else." So, but they didn't sort of linger on the significance of why that was. So it would be nice to go back to that. What's the worst film? Tim Burton's Planet of the Apes or Ice Age: Adventures of Buck Wild? Oh, they're both crap. I'm probably going to say Tim Burton's Planet of the Apes because it's just a mess. You can't understand the story. Whereas Ice Age, it's bad, but you can understand what's going on. Tim Burton's Planet of the Apes just shits all over the original, and it's a monkey rave. It's just so annoying. It's an annoying film to watch. The tone of it just drives me mad. Whereas the other one, Buck Wild, it's just bad. It's just really bad. But but it's not quite. It's close, but it's not as insufferable because it's also shorter as well. How do you rank the Primeval series cliffhangers? Okay, well, I haven't seen New World, so it'd only be the first 5 seasons. So the the endings for each season, I think the worst one is probably season 4 because it just doesn't go anywhere. If it doesn't feel like the end of a season, it just feels like the same season split in half. Then season 5 because the two Matts. I mean, okay, why? Yeah, whatever. Then probably series 3. Although it was a good cliffhanger, it was because the next series wasn't good enough when it followed it. It makes the cliffhanger kind of weightless now. Then probably series 2 because Stephen's death was shocking. And then season 1 probably had the best cliffhanger with Claudia Brown vanishing. That really did leave me wanting more. So in terms of, I hope that answered your question, but that's how I feel. Oh, hello, Jermaine. I'm doing all right, thanks. Yeah, not bad. Get in there. How many times have I seen Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes? I think 4 times. I really do love Planet of the Apes as a franchise. I don't think Kingdom is a perfect film, but I really have enjoyed watching it on the big screen. It's just so epic. Favorite final battle in the MonsterVerse so far? They're all the same to me, to be honest. Probably the one in the recent film. That was good when they team up. I'll go with that one. Fair enough if you prefer Battle, or if you prefer Tim Burton's one, but I respectfully disagree. While Battle is also crap, it's not as insane as Tim Burton's one. I just think Tim Burton's one is just so crazy. I personally don't find it entertaining, but to each his own. It's your opinion, of course. If I review the Garfield film, I'm not going to see it in the cinema. I'll probably rent it, but it doesn't look very good. If I'm going to be honest. Although I might look at the Bill Murray Garfield films, the 2 that were the live action ones that were released, I think about 20 years ago. I think I've seen them. The first one was fine. I kind of liked it. I think my dad took me and my sister to see it, and then the second one, which is in London, I think. That one wasn't as good. That one was quite boring, if I remember. I don't remember anything about it. I think is Tim Curry in it? I can't remember. But yeah, maybe I'll look at the Garfield movies at a later date. Thoughts on Anya Taylor-Joy? As a person, I don't know because I've never met her. But as an actress, I think she's good. I think she's very talented. And I look forward to seeing her more in the Dune threequel if she's going to be in that. I think she's a very good. She's got a good work ethic. Her performances always come through very well. And if I'm going to see Furiosa, it'll probably be because of her. List 3 good things in the first Cars movie. Okay, the animation. Fuck off, Siri. Sorry, my Siri was trying to talk to me. So the animation, the voice acting, the music. Those are the 3 best things in Cars. The rest of it is a drag. I would probably change my opinion in that it's probably not the worst Pixar movie now, but it isn't great. I might take it over the second one. I don't know. I'd have to reevaluate them, but I don't think it's quite as bad as I remembered it to be. But it's just a bit boring. I guess it's problem. It's just very long. It's too long. It didn't need to be 2 hours long. But yeah. Rank the Tim Burton remakes from worst to best. I mean, they're all kind of shit, to be honest. So, okay. At the bottom, Planet of the Apes, easily. Then it would probably be Alice in Wonderland. Then it would probably be Dumbo. Then Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. But I don't like any of them. Actually, no, sorry, I swapped Dumbo and Charlie in the Chocolate Factory. I put Dumbo above his Charlie in the Chocolate Factory. Yeah, Dumbo was okay, but again overstretched for what the runtime was. Differently, do you think things would have gone if Sam was the ring bearer? I don't know really. I think there's an argument to be made that the ring could have had the same effect on anyone that was holding it, but Sam might have shown a bit more resistance to it because for most of Return of the King, when he has the ring, it's in his pocket. We never see him wear it or try to use it. He only wants to give it to Frodo, and then you know that moment when he's like he's looking at Frodo like what, like that's been described by Sean Astin as him looking at Frodo and being worried about what Frodo's going to do with the ring, not so much him saying no, I want to keep it. So only Aragorn and Sam, I think, they're the ones that really resist the ring. So who knows? Thoughts on Sam Mendes' upcoming new movie about the Beatles? I didn't actually know he was making it, so that's cool. I mean, I'll go and see it. I like Sam Mendes as a director. I wasn't crazy about Empire of Light, but I'll go and see this. Rank the 5 filmmakers from worst to best. Okay, so worst, Raja Gosnell. Next, I'd probably put Guy Ritchie, although I do like him. Then Danny Boyle. Then, that's a tough one. Oh, gosh. I would probably say Christopher Nolan, then Steven Spielberg. I say Steven Spielberg at the top because of his filmography. He's done such a wide variety of movies. Nolan's still, I mean, he's added to his palette, but he's not got as much. And a lot of his films are more serious. He doesn't really do comedy or whimsy or light relief as much. So for versatility, I'd put Spielberg at the top. What would you think if Philip Schofield went on I'm a Celebrity? Well, they would love it because their ratings would boost right up, just like when Matt Hancock went on. I think it would be actually kind of funny to watch because it would be controversial, and he would be he wouldn't be liked by the campmates very much. They would be asking him a lot of questions, but I think it would be funny to see it. You've only seen Fellowship of the Ring and The Desolation of Smaug. I highly encourage you to watch the rest of them. You can start with The Hobbit if you want to start with An Unexpected Journey, Desolation of Smaug, Battle of the Five Armies, then watch the Lord of the Rings trilogy, but it's up to you. I don't remember the credits song in Cars, to be honest. I don't remember. I only remember Real Gone and Life is a Highway, I'm afraid. So I'd say my favorite is probably Life is a Highway. But yeah, that's all I can really say at the moment. Sorry, I don't remember the other ones. Do you think Optimus should have spared Sentinel in Transformers 3? Maybe. Potentially. Maybe it was a bit cold-hearted the way he just took him out. I felt like the ending of Dark of the Moon was kind of rushed, to be honest. I have not seen Song of the South. Well, that's a good question. I would rather watch Jaws for the rest of my life, Jaws the Revenge, because whilst it's shit, you don't have to suffer through some really cringy writing. Well, you do have to suffer that, but you don't have to suffer the awful romance, the awful sex scenes, the sheer uncomfortableness of 50 Shades. You wouldn't have to suffer that in Jaws. You just have to suffer some really cheap production values and some bad writing. Yeah, Jaws the Revenge is terrible. They're all terrible. Have you seen Killers of the Flower Moon and Maestro? I've not seen Maestro, but I've seen Killers of the Flower Moon. Really enjoyed it. It was a bit too long though. I think at 3.5 hours it did go on a bit, but I really did enjoy that one. Is the Hobbit trilogy overhated? Did it need to be a trilogy? Did it need to be a trilogy? Maybe not. Am I upset that it's a trilogy? Not in the slightest, because the expanded material really did work well for me, and it enhanced the backstory, and it did its best to prelude and tie into the Lord of the Rings quite well. I think it is overhated. I don't think people appreciate it because their expectations were too high. I think that The Hobbit, they were aware that the Lord of the Rings trilogy was a masterpiece, so to follow that is not easy. And I don't think they were trying to be better. They were just trying to do something similar but different and expand on what was already there. So I think it is overhated, but I do understand some of the criticisms that people have with it, and I do share some of those. But I don't think they're bad films at all. I, oh bugger! Sorry, I keep losing the questions. Do you think a Primeval movie would have been laid out if it was back in the day to kick off the series premise? Probably would have been an extension of the first episode. They would have probably made that into a 90-minute film, have a bit more time to introduce the characters, get to know each other, and maybe show more of the creatures. Just, I don't know. I don't really know what else to say. I would say that's probably they do. They just have a slightly more epic beginning. Which Star Wars trilogy overall has your favorite soundtrack? Oh, that's a good question. I mean, the original trilogy is the obvious choice, but I do like the prequel soundtracks. I think the sequel trilogy has the weakest soundtracks. I think for me, it's a tie between original and prequels. I think they've both got really good soundtracks. And again, not that the sequel trilogy has a bad soundtrack, it's just not as memorable. You can tell it's a bit tired, although Rey's theme is really good. Is Alfonso Cuarón the best Harry Potter director? That's debatable. I think he's one of the best. I think having seen The Prisoner of Azkaban a few times recently in cinema, it's given me a really good appreciation of the script and how well they told the story, how well they condensed it. He was very good at adapting that novel and keeping the bare essentials, and it was very tight. It was very brisk, and the way that the timeline of that film flowed was very beautifully done. And also his visual style worked for that film. It was more mature and it was dark. I think he was the right choice for the right time to take it in a new direction. But whether he's the best, I don't know, because my favorite film of the series is Goblet of Fire. So Mike Newell holds a special place in my heart because, he made my favorite one. But there is an argument to be made that Cuarón is either one of the best. Yeah, I think Joker 2 looks good. Yeah, I'm not against it being a musical if it's done well. Lady Gaga, she could be very good. We'll have to wait and see. I might watch Godzilla -1, although I'm not hugely into Godzilla. But if it's on streaming, I'll watch it. If they did a Shrek reboot, would Mike Myers come back? Oh, I don't really know. I mean, I hope he'd come back because he does that Scottish accent and he is the voice of Shrek. And maybe if you pay him his money, he'll take it as a token of your gratitude. I don't know. I think that Mike Myers should come back. I mean, he's getting older now, so they want to do more with him. They have to hurry up. Or they can easily get an impersonator. You just do a Scottish accent and you're Shrek. So it would feel good for him to come back. But honestly, Shrek doesn't really need to continue. It was fine as the 4 films that it is at the moment. But whatever, that's what they want to do. So there we are. Do you think there'll be another Batman movie just to have fun again and be colourful? Maybe. Potentially, but I think we're so used to the darker, grittier stuff. And to be fair with Batman, the darker, more serious stuff does work. But if somebody was to do like a spoof, like a parody film of Batman, they could go down that route. But I don't know if it would be as popular. And especially as well, like, Matt Reeves is doing the Batman Part 2. So, yeah, as an extension of his first film, which was surprisingly really good. So I'm happy for it to continue being dark and moody. It's funny you mentioned The Mummy 4 because Brendan Fraser's really interested in doing it and he might well do it. Although the third one really was disappointing. The Tomb of the Dragon Emperor, I think it was called. It was yeah, it was a bit meh. I don't know. I just think obviously don't set it in China. Go back to Egypt or somewhere else. Yeah, again, just have it be a fun adventure, and don't do time travel like Indiana Jones did. Oh fucking hell, that was so ridiculous. Oh god. Um, what Pixar films could have a sequel made? Incredibles 3. I'm waiting for that. Brad Bird. When are we going to get that? I mean, they probably won't do it, but A Bug's Life 2, I'd love to get that. But it's been so long since the first one, they probably won't do it. I don't think the first one is surprisingly not that popular, which is a shame. Ratatouille Part 2, maybe. Who knows? We're getting Inside Out 2 this week. Maybe an Inside Out 3 if this one is successful, depending on how they feel about it. But that's all I can think of at the moment. See you soon. Thank you for your questions. Thoughts on Doctor Who episode with the babies? Oh, the space babies. Oh, it's terrible. It was rubbish. I can give you a lowdown of my thoughts on the series so far. I mean, I haven't seen Rogue, which is the Bridgerton one. I've not seen that one yet, which I will watch very soon. But the Ncuti Gatwa series is, yeah, it's not terrible, but it's not really grabbing me. Space Babies. Well, okay, I'll start with the Christmas special. Church on Ruby Road, good. Enjoyable, good fun, simple story. It is what it is. The Space Babies was rubbish. It was a stupid idea, stupid concept. Don't know why Russell thought that was a good opener, but I personally thought it was dumb. The second one, Devil's Cord, was better, but still kind of boring. I didn't care for the Maestro character. I mean, well played by the actor, but I just didn't really care for it. And then, that stupid song at the end. What the fuck was that? Ruby, there's always a twist at the end. Wink to the camera. There's always a twist. There's always a twist. What the hell? Like, I sat there going, okay, we're in a musical number now. I could see the Disney kind of infectious stuff going in there. Although I will say this though, Ncuti and Millie are great. They are very great, and I'm glad that they're in the show and that they're a good pairing. What's the next one? Boom. Liked Boom. That was a good one. That's one of my favorite ones so far. A very tense, very simple thriller, and it's very rare for Stephen Moffat to write a simple narrative. He's so good at writing. Well, not good. He's so used to writing convoluted stories. This was a step in a good direction for him. What was the one after that? 73 Yards. Mixed bag for me. Good idea. Started out really well. The pub scene was really creepy. When it started to time jump and go through Ruby's entire life, I started to get a bit bored. It dragged a bit. And the climax was the twist. I thought it was kind of cool, but at the same time, it was a little bit weightless. It just didn't have any impact for me. But Millie Gibson was very good in it. She was very good in it. And Dot and Bubble, it was all right, I guess. I didn't engage with it that much. It was kind of boring, but I heard a lot of people liked it. But I might need to rewatch it because it just didn't engage me. But Rogue, I've heard, is very good, so I will watch that very soon and give you my thoughts on that. Have you seen the Fourth Protocol? No, I've not seen it. Do you think there's anything Marvel can do to get back in the public's good races? Well, I think just kind of do what Kevin Feige is now saying they're doing, which is slowing down and not pumping out content. Slow down, think about what you're doing. Just, have a bit of gaps between things. You don't have to release everything so consecutively straight away. Just, take a breather, plan, reevaluate, and then go from there. Thoughts on the rumor of Sean Pertwee playing the Third Doctor in Doctor Who? I'm totally not against that at all. I think that would be a great thing. If you were the one who worked on a Premiere revival, what would you do for the plot? That's kind of a long answer. That would be a long answer to that question. I would say basically, well, me and a friend have this idea to reinvent the series with a new team based on certain characters who were young in the original series that would now be adults. That's all I'll say. I'd say I'd reinvent the structure of the team and bring in some new creatures as well as old creatures. So it's familiar, but it's not entirely the same. Favorite David Tennant role outside of Doctor Who? I've not seen him in Good Omens. He was pretty good in that Centurions movie. I would probably say Barty Crouch Jr. in Harry Potter. That's what I most know him to do. He's very good at doing an English accent. Yeah, nobody deserves death threats and all of that stuff, but there's a time and a place to say things, and she's just should have been more careful. That's all I say. Do you think Wish should have been a best movie, let alone done 2D? Well, it kind of was 2D and 3D, wasn't it? The style of animation was an amalgamation. I don't really think format is the issue, to be honest. I think with Wish, I would rather it have just have been a better script. It was not that it was a terrible film. It was okay. It was just a very average. Like the story was so blasé. It was so generic. It could have been any fairy tale. It could have been any story. I just didn't care for it. I mean, it's not terrible. Out of 10, I'd probably give it a 5. Like it was all right, but would I rush back to it? Probably not. Maybe I'll review it on my podcast channel. I don't know. What do you think about there being a new Wallace and Gromit film in production? As long as they honour the spirit of the old films, I'm okay with that. I understand Peter Sallis is no longer with us, so whoever is going to voice Wallace has to do a very good impression of Peter Sallis. So hopefully that's what they'll do. We split the last century into phases. 5. Yeah, I would agree with that. What song do you find really annoying? Ooh, I don't know. There's Die Another Day by Madonna is really annoying. The tuning is the auto tuning is awful. In terms of other songs, don't really know. Crazy Frog can get kind of annoying, but it's sort of catchy. Yeah. Don't really know what else. Baby Shark, Baby Shark. Maybe that one. Who would you have had as the Doctor if it kept going between 1990 and 2004? Isn't it obvious? Paul McGann. I would have had Paul McGann be the Doctor. Easily. Who do you think would win in a fight? King Kong from 2005 film or King Louis from the Tonga book? King Kong, easily. He's got more strength. What would you think if they announced an Ice Age 7? At this point, excuse me. At this point, who cares? I'd probably review it, but if it goes on streaming, then fair dues. Yeah, maybe. There wouldn't have been a cliffhanger ending though, so I do like the cliffhanger ending. I like the ending the way it is, personally. What is your guess? What happened in Primeval Fiction? Oh, okay. I don't know. I guess Cutter obviously was having PTSD from the end of series 2, trying to go over Stephen. I don't know, to be honest, man. I've got no idea. Funniest Toy Story character for you? Oh, where the bloody hell's my question? Probably won't be able to do all these, guys, because it's getting on a bit. I do need to wrap up at some point. Funniest Toy Story character for you? Ooh, it's a good question. Good question. I like Rex quite a lot. I don't know. There's a few. There's a few that could be the funniest. Rex is one of my favorites, though. Oh, thank you. Yeah, Tim Curry and Garfield. Yeah, I thought it was him. I don't really get your question about the Pixar thing. Sorry. So thoughts on a new change? They want to make as general relatability as possible, less uniqueness and creative POV. What do you mean? Like, so they want to I don't understand the question. I'm sorry. They want to create more relatable stories. I thought that that's what they were already doing. I don't understand. I'm sorry. Your honest take of Wonka on 2023. It's good. Yeah, I like it. I think it's good fun. It has the charm of the Paddington movies because obviously the Paddington filmmakers made it. So it has that British humor. It's very colourful. The music is good. I don't think Timothy Chalamet is honestly the right choice for Willy Wonka. I didn't find him particularly engaging. Like, he was okay, but I didn't believe that he was the same guy that would grow up to be Gene Wilder. If that makes sense. But there were moments of nostalgia, and it was a very entertaining, charming film. I'll give it that. And Hugh Grant as the Oompa Loompa, I was expecting a bit more of, but oh well. Who do you think is more evil, Koba or Proxima Caesar? Uh, I guess you could say Koba, even though his hate comes from a relatable place. You can understand why he's like that, but because he murders Ash. That kind of makes him a bit more evil. But Proximus is just a prick. Like he's just this arrogant prick who wants to evolve. He wants apes to evolve quicker than humans ever could. He's just pompous, whereas Cobra is a murderer. So that answers the question. Which controversial celebrity would you see on I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here? Harry and Meghan. Enough said. Or Rishi Sunak. Evening, Prime Minister. Which fourth installment do you think is worse, Jaws 4 or Superman 4? They're both as bad as each other, to be honest. Probably Superman 4 because of how cheap it is. It's disgraceful, the budget on that film. Would you agree video game graphics are less mind-blowing on the latest generations? Yeah, I'd say the previous leaps are more impressive, although I don't think... I still think graphics are very impressive. I still think they're very photoreal. But yeah, I would say it's harder to become more impressive now with the graphics. You like Jaws the Revenge? I respect your opinion, but I think you're the only person that likes it, so just be prepared for that. That's a good question. Favorite PlayStation startup sounds? Yeah, the first two, PS2. Like, I still have my PS2, and I love starting it up. I'm so used to that, and even PS1. Oh god, it's just golden. PS3 is one. It just makes like a that it just turns on. Whereas PS2 was like and it has the blocks and it zooms down. Whereas PS1 was like the and PS4 and 5 just kind of turn on. They go like it makes a little bit of a noise, but nothing major. Yeah, the old ones were the best. Yes, happy 20th anniversary to The Prisoner of Azkaban. Absolutely agreed. Let me just have a quick swig of drink because I'm. Yeah. Oh, excuse me. Oh, cool. It's on Netflix. That's good. I might give it a watch. I mean, you can imagine Douglas Henshall as Shrek. I mean, he's already got the Scottish accent, so why not? Let's see Carnotaurus in Primeval if it came back. Yeah, absolutely. Would you prefer to see Puss in Boots 3 over Shrek 5? Yes. Puss in Boots 3, go for it. If it's going to be as good as the second one, then yeah, Shrek 5 is not needed. Better out than in. Yeah, I think actually that's a good idea, Dinobot. I think I would have preferred that. I would have been more interested in the Tom Cruise Mummy film had it been that. The Tom Cruise Mummy film is so bad. I mean, Tomb of the Dragon Emperor is pretty poor, but it's nowhere near as bad as that. Tomb of the Dragon Emperor is just very mediocre. Like the whole concept is kind of dumb. China setting it in China is a bit weird, but Tomb of the Dragon Emperor at least has some entertaining action scenes. The Tom Cruise Mummy film is a mess. Pure and simple. Just a mess of a film. Oh, fucking hell. Incredibles 3. Yeah, I'd like to see the kids become adults, maybe, or the kids be the center of it, because if you think about it, the roles reverse. Like in the first one, it was Bob's movie. Second one, it was Helen's movie, even though Bob was still quite important. The kids have sort of just been in there, and gradually they got more to do in the second one. So I think if the kids were adults and then grew up a bit, like especially Jack Jack, I'd rather not see him as a baby anymore. I think we'd want to see him grow up a bit. I think it'd be interesting to do it. I think with The Incredibles, there's one more film in it, and then they can make it a trilogy and it'd be perfect. Baby geniuses. No, but I can gather it's a similar sort of premise to that. It sounds like the Boss Baby, really. I mean, that's what the episode reminded me of, really, which is a shame. Oh, okay, Dinobot, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm not really sure how to answer that question about the if limited to just being a book. I'm sorry, I've got no idea what that means. What are your thoughts on rumor Magda 4 be like Toy Story 4 in the cast parting ways? What? Huh? What are your thoughts on rumor Magda 4 being like Toy Story 4 in the cast parting ways? Do you mean Madagascar 4? Madga 4. I'm guessing you mean Madagascar 4. If that's the case, I think, fair enough. It would be quite sad to see them part ways, but it's been such a long time since the third one. I don't see why they should even do this, to be honest. Oh, yeah, no, for our concept, we do have some original characters coming back. I won't say which ones, because it's not just my thing, it's my friend as well, so I don't want to, expose his ideas without his consent. Oh, bugger. Which era of movies most and least interest you? Good question. I'm more interested in contemporary cinema, but I don't mind going back to older films. But what what era least interests me? The early stuff. I know that's kind of sad to say that, but it's just dated, isn't it? Like stuff from like the 1920s and all of that. I've seen a few things, but it just doesn't interest me as much. Thoughts on the Barbie Girl song? Yeah, it's fine. It's catchy. It works. Yeah. Thank you, Dinobot. I appreciate the questions. I disagree with that, Dinobot. I think that, a lot of writers and filmmakers draw from themselves with their projects. And I think that, to tell an emotional story, it needs to be relatable and personal in some regard. And, the fact is, Pixar are so good at storytelling for the most part. Most of their stories have involved an emotional core and a personal hook to the story. So why change that? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. I don't know where this rumor has come from, but I don't agree with it personally. Yeah, Ezra Miller probably could have played the role, but because of his bad behavior, he's not allowed. I mean, his career is basically it's well, he's not getting as much work now, I imagine. So, yeah. Favorite Darth Vader scene or line? Well, obviously, I am your father is the obvious one. Um, but one of my favorite Vader lines is actually in Rogue One when he says, "Be careful not to choke on your aspirations, director." When he chokes Krennic, but yeah, I think his one underrated line would be, "Do not be proud of this technological terror you've constructed. The ability to destroy a planet is insignificant next to the power of the Force." That's awesome. Favorite movie starring The Rock? Ooh, it's a good question. He's done a lot of movies. That's true. I mean, he's pretty good in the Scorpion King. I like him in that. Um, gosh, in terms of recent films, I liked him in Jungle Cruise. I liked him in the Jumanji movies. I don't really have a favorite movie of his as of yet. As of yet, but in most things I see him and I like him. Although he does sort of play himself, but it usually works. He's quite a charming guy. Well, I'm sure Baby Geniuses was better than The Boss Baby. Madagascar 4. Oh, yeah. Okay, I thought you meant that. Thoughts on the upcoming Transformers 1 movie? I knew you were going to ask me about that. Yeah, I've seen the trailer and I'm convinced. I think, you know what? They've learned from the Michael Bay era that um, all they need to do is ditch the human characters and make it animated, set it on Cybertron, and there we are. It looks as though it's going to actually cater to the right target audience. I think this is personally going to be one of the better Transformers movies because, or maybe even the best, because it's doing what the Bay movies should have done, which was focus it on a younger target audience and tell a story about the Transformers and not the humans. So I think this is a step in the right direction, personally. This is the reboot that Transformers needs. I do have a soft spot for the Bay films. I won't lie. I do think some of them are quite fun and entertaining, but I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna say they were the right vision for Transformers, especially with the humor and the sexual humor, which really just didn't work for that era. But from an action standpoint, they were pretty fun to watch. But this new era, I think, will be right. Fair enough if you don't like Barbie Girl. It definitely is overplayed, especially recently. Thoughts on Feathers McGraw coming back in Wallace and Gromit? I'm up for it. I'm absolutely up for it. The Jumanji movies, yeah, fair dues. I personally feel like the original Jumanji is the best one. The next two, I'm not crazy about them, to be honest. Like they're okay. They're harmless, but I don't I didn't really see the need for them. I mean, they were fun. They were okay, but they don't compare to the first one for me. I agree with you, Dinobot. Actually, yeah, the first one with Shia LaBeouf, that was okay. Yeah, from Revenge of the Fallen onwards, we didn't need the humans. Like, why we have to go back to Sam in his college? Like, it's totally unnecessary. Should have just set it on Cybertron. Um, it always had to be on Earth. I don't know why that was the case for the Bay films, but and they just became so formulaic. It was like, oh, there's always this MacGuffin that they have to go after and fight over. The first one was a cube, the second one the Matrix, the third one, yeah, well, etc., etc. Are you going to see the Spider-Man movies? Yes, I am definitely going to watch the Spider-Man movies when they go to the cinema. Maybe not all of them. Definitely going to watch the Tobey Maguire trilogy, all three of those, because they were my youth. I grew up with those films, and I don't think I saw the first one in the cinema when it came out. I was very young. I was like 5 when it came out, so I was probably a bit young. But I saw Spider-Man 2 in the cinema and Spider-Man 3. They were great. And then I did see, well, 10 years later, the Amazing Spider-Man movies, though I don't care for those ones as much. I might go and see them if I have time, if I've got nothing else on, but I'm not going to actively seek those ones out because I'm not a huge fan of them. Even though I like Andrew as Spider-Man and Spider-Man and Peter Parker, he's not my favorite one. He's my least favorite of the three. The Tom Holland ones, I'll definitely go to No Way Home. Absolutely going to see No Way Home. If I can catch the first two, I might. I think personally, Spider-Man: Homecoming is the most overrated film of the series. It's good, but it's not great. It's actually kind of boring in a few places, I find. But Far From Home is slightly better, and also because of Mysterio. But I'm not as fussed about the first two. But certainly, No Way Home. Absolutely, I'm going to go and see that because that was such a crowd pleaser when it first came out, and I think it will be even more of a crowd pleaser this time. But it's nice that they're doing this, and I think this is what cinemas are realizing now: is that re-releasing films is actually making them money. It's actually tiding them over. A lot of new things are going on streaming, so I think it's brilliant the fact that cinemas can re-release old films, and they did it a lot during lockdown. And I think it's a fantastic thing to do. Like I said, I just saw the Lord of the Rings trilogy extended editions in the cinemas re-release. And obviously Harry Potter, Prisoner of Azkaban, 20th anniversary, re-release. Every time there's an anniversary, they make more of it. They re-release. Like they're re-releasing The Matrix, they're re-releasing The Mummy, the Brendan Fraser one, and they just re-released The Phantom Menace as well. So I wouldn't say there's a huge market as such, but there's a lot of people that will go to these films, people who grew up watching them as well, and people who saw them when they first released. I think there's honestly like a huge demographic of people that love re-releases. I'm one of those people. I mean, I just love the cinema, but especially if something like Spider-Man, which is popular, why not every so often just re-release it? Doesn't have to be an anniversary, just re-release them. Why not? They did it with James Bond in 2022. Odeon did a re-release schedule for all of the Bond movies. They did it weekly starting from April 2022, and it ran all the way till I think like October or something, showing all 25 films week by week. I didn't see all of them, obviously. I didn't have the time or the money for that, but I saw most of them, and it's such a brilliant experience. There's nothing like seeing your favorite films on the big screen. There really is nothing like that. Fourth Mummy was planned to be in Peru. That makes sense given the end of 3. I prefer the Jumanji movies with The Rock. Oh, fair enough. That's your opinion. That's fine. I think the cast of the new ones are good. I just don't think the writing is as good as the first one, personally. I actually think Zathura. I actually prefer Zathura to all the Jumanji movies. Call me controversial, but that's honestly my opinion. Yes, awesome. I would agree with that statement about feathers. Ant and Dec or Dick and Dom? Ant and Dec. Favorite Wallace and Gromit movie? The Curse of the Were-Rabbit. Thoughts on YouTube channel Cinema Sins? Pretty good. I don't like all their videos, but a few years ago I grew to like them a lot more. They can be quite fun. Sometimes their criticisms are a bit petty though. But yeah. Thoughts on Honest Trailers videos? Yeah, I love Honest Trailers. I think they're hilarious. they come out with some funny stuff. Not all of their videos land with the humor, but most of the trailers are very good. One more question. Would you say it's... Yeah, maybe it's a little strange. I mean, long time has passed since Series 5. In terms of New World, I can't really speak for that because I didn't see the series. But yeah, because as I understand it, the team in New World weren't the most popular, so I don't know. Yeah, I suppose it's a little strange. Thoughts on the Phantom Menace in light of its re-release? Well, my thoughts on the movie are very much the same. I still think the movie has a lot of problems. It's a drag. It's mediocre. There's really cool bits in it. Like the finale is amazing. The music is so good. The pod race is brilliant. The acting and direction and script are really not good. George was quite rusty in his direction, and less said about Jar Jar Binks, the better. But I would be lying if I said I didn't appreciate the experience of seeing it. I did see The Phantom Menace in its 3D release, which was 2012, I think. And I still enjoyed it then. Like I always enjoy the experience of seeing a Star Wars film on the big screen because they're made for it, especially with the sound design. The battles are epic and it's very impressive to watch. But when you judge the movie, yeah, it's got a lot of problems. And it's not the greatest Star Wars film in the world, no way. But I really enjoyed seeing it. I just loved the experience. And, what can I say? It was fantastic to see it. And especially hearing Duel of the Fates in the cinema. That was awesome. It was worth it just for that. Favorite Kung Fu Panda film? The second one. I didn't like the fourth one at all. It really wasn't good. I hope a series of unfortunate events shows an Odeon. Oh yeah, the film. Yes, I didn't really care for that film when I first saw it. I might need to rewatch that. It was it was meh for me. I couldn't get into it. But that's if you're talking about the Jim Carrey one, yeah, interesting film. Very weird film. I'm glad you like it. Sausage Party TV series. Oh yeah, I saw. Funny enough, I saw the ad for this on Facebook earlier. I love the first Sausage Party. Like it's so I don't know. Like it's kind of dumb. It's kind of preachy. It's kind of weird, but it's just hilarious. I love it. And yeah, the ending scene is well, entertaining would be an understatement. But no, I probably will see the series. I think it's on Amazon, I believe. So either that or Netflix. I'll check it out. I mean, it's bound to be something fun and stupid. So why not? Sometimes we need a bit of nonsense in our lives. Yes, the SpongeBob movie's good. I feel like that's the point where SpongeBob kind of ended. It should have ended at the point where the first film came out in 2004. After that, the show kind of got a little bit stale, and to this day, I didn't see the two sequels to the original film, but I heard they were bad, and the show's kind of run out of steam. I think, um, as things do. So yeah, though I do own the game of the original film on PS2, one of my childhood games. Very difficult game actually, but fun. Favorite action scene from the Hobbit trilogy? Oh, it's a good question. I love the chariot chase from Battle of the Five Armies. But I think the barrel sequence from Desolation of Smaug, the barrel chase is awesome. That's got to be a great one. Ah, you're a wizard, Harry. Yes, I'm very much looking forward to the new Wallace and Gromit movie, and I mean, I would love if we could to go and see it together. If it actually releases in cinemas, let's see it together. Why not? Uh, Sense and swearing, yeah, nice. Yeah, the SpongeBob movie, like it's not. I'm not saying it's a masterpiece by any stretch, but it's good fun, and um, well, I think the biggest issue is that it doesn't give its background characters a lot to do. A bit like the Simpsons movie, where you have so many iconic characters who just are in the background and don't really do anything. It's very much about SpongeBob and Patrick. But I thought it was fun. It was good. It had a nice little story, and the pirates going to the cinema to see the movie that they're in. Kind of funny, I suppose. Um, yeah, slightly strange concept. There wasn't really a message behind the movie, but it was a lot of fun. You know, like it was good fun. The comedy worked, so it was harmless fun. Uh, yes, we will make it happen, especially if Wallace is going to build a rocket. I've not seen the Paw Patrol film, and it doesn't. I'm too old to see it, to be honest. I'm. Uh, uh, oh, that's a good question. Do I prefer the SpongeBob movie or the Simpsons movie? Hmm. Well, the Simpsons movie, in a weird way, had its own message about the environment, which I guess was slightly strange in its telling. But yeah, I don't know. Like the SpongeBob movie is still just as fun. Um, I might lean more towards the Simpsons movie because I feel like it's funnier as well. It makes me laugh more, and again, it teaches you something about the environment. The SpongeBob movie is funny, but there's no real message. I suppose the message being that um, you know courage isn't about being a man. You know, you can be a kid and still be courageous and do something heroic. I guess that's what it is because there's this whole plot about SpongeBob not getting a manager's job because he's a kid. I mean, I'm spitballing here. That's just my opinion anyway. Yes, I hope the impersonator does a good job with Wallace's voice. Funniest line from Wallace for you? Oh gosh. Well, obviously, cheese is a good one. Um, oh, Totty. Oh God, that's funny. Um, yeah. Ooh, I do like a bit of gorgonzola. Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to remember his other lines really. Yeah, no, he's funny. Wallace is funny. Oh yeah, the skateboarding scene when Homer makes Bart skateboard naked. That's pretty funny. Yeah, I've always enjoyed that scene. That was pretty funny when they drew his penis. It was quite interesting when you first saw it. You didn't expect that, but no, it was funny. It was well played. Spider Pig. Yeah, Spider Pig, very funny. I'm imprint myself. Oh yeah, I'm the Bakelite girl. I'm as light as a feather. But if I can't fix it, then the other me can. It's not a matter of loaf and death. Really like it. I think it's just as good as the other ones, if not better. It's funny. I mean, Wallace and the Bomb. It's great. Um, yeah, it's Paella the Bakelite girl. What a name. Oh god, wake up. Oh, squeeze me. Um, Possibly. Jared, maybe. Um, hmm, yeah, who knows? Okay, well, firstly, I thought Christopher Eccleston was a fabulous Doctor. Oh, sorry, wrong season one. It was really good. Chatted to my boy. Oh, sorry, also wrong season one. Um, yeah, okay, being serious. Shooting Up was season one. Honestly, thumbs up meaning it would be very good. Middle meaning it's sort of good. There it's okay. Down there it's rubbish. I'm kind of there with season one. It's okay, not the best. I ran through my thoughts on all the episodes earlier, so I'm not going to repeat myself. But yeah, I'm kind of not gelling with it, to be honest. I've still yet to see Rogue, so I will watch that and then the finale and then judge it. But I think Millie and Shooty are great, and they're a great pairing to lead the show. So hopefully, Russell has got some better stories up his sleeve because I feel like his writing was a lot better for the Eccleston and Tennant era. Well, judging by so far, anyway. What would I do if I were the showrunner of Doctor Who? Um, give it a few years off. I think reevaluate where we are. A bit like the Marvel thing that I said earlier. Reevaluate where you are, plan it ahead a bit more. Don't just churn it out. I think give it a bit more care and attention, and then if it works, see where you go from there. Oh yes, in William Russell. Yes, rest in peace, William Russell. We miss you, Chesterton, my boy. Um, Ian is great. He's one of the best companions for me. He's the original male companion. I love how he didn't really sort of buy into the Doctor's world at first. He was quite stern, and then he didn't like the Doctor very much. Then he became a little bit more adventurous and free spirit, and he embraced the adventure, and that was great. And I still think Ian and Barbara had a bit of a thing for each other. I think they did, and you know, he was a lovely character, and he was courageous and he was nice to everybody. Like the Keys of Marinus, he's quite heavily involved in that, and in many of the adventures with the Doctor, with the first Doctor, again they didn't always get along, and I think it's important to show the dynamics. And I think he had a very good dynamic with Hartnell and his fellow co-stars. And he wasn't necessarily the funniest character, but he was a well-rounded character, so I liked him a lot. I mean, they could if they wanted to show all the Wallace and Gromit films, and they could probably show it with Curse of the Were-Rabbit. They should do it for an anniversary. They really should. Thank you, A. Smith. That's the correct answer. Yes, David Tennant is my favorite Doctor as well. He's my Doctor. I grew up watching him, so He's always going to be my favorite Doctor. Before you purists ask me which one, 10, not 14. I hate the whole bi-regeneration thing. I actually think it's made the whole thing a bit more convoluted than it needs to be, but it's just my opinion. Favorite Gandalf moment or line in the Hobbit trilogy? You'll have a tale or two to tell of your own when you come back. Can you promise that I will come back? No. And if you do, you will not be the same. I like that. It sums up why Bilbo needs to go on the journey. You know, he needs to go there to experience the world and change as a person, you know, not being such an invalid and get out there. Thoughts on Colin Baker as the Sixth Doctor? He's probably my least favorite Doctor currently standing, but I still like the guy. I think he tried his best with the scripts, but I just didn't really warm to his Doctor. They didn't have a clear direction or vision with his Doctor. His characterization was very serious one minute, and they're very outlandish the next. And the costume really just it's hard to take him seriously, I must admit. And the writing didn't do much for him either. I feel like he's the Doctor with the most wasted potential because of the state of the show at the time. So yeah, and you know, with Davison having such a strong exit, there was just no way this guy was going to come in and match that. I mean, you watch the Twin Dilemma after Caves of Androzani, it doesn't feel like the same show, you know. Were you hoping that William Russell would make it to 100? Yeah, it would have been nice, but I guess it was his time. Yeah, Christopher Eccleston left after one season due to creative differences. He didn't like the way the show was managed, and the filming there were just very long days, and it was like a rushed production. He thought it was a bit like a sort of factory machine, the way it was done. And I guess he fell out with the producers and the higher-ups, the BBC, and he really praised Russell's writing. He loved the writing of this show, and which is why he was so keen to do it. But yeah, in the end he just couldn't do that again. He said, "Oh, okay, I'll stick out this series, but I'm not going to do it anymore going forward because of the way that this is all done." It was quite exhausting, I think. So fair play to him, but at least he's come back to Big Finish. So he's now trying to get himself, you know, he's going to in touch with the show. You know, that's nice. Jodie Whittaker is pretty lovely. As the Doctor, or generally? Think we'll ever get a fourth Paramount Star Trek film? At this point, probably not. It was on, then it was off, then it was on, then it was off. There's too many series now as well. I don't think anyone cares at this point. I don't think Star Trek Beyond was actually that popular when it came out, and they didn't market it very well because it was supposed to be the 50th anniversary of Star Trek, but it wasn't marketed as such. I think it's personally quite a good film. Like I enjoyed it. I'm not a huge Trekkie. Like I've seen the movies, but I've not seen the show. The three new ones are definitely more mainstream action blockbuster films, but you know, for what they are, they're entertaining, but they're not the best Star Trek films. So David Attenborough can make it to 100. Hopefully. Matt Smith is fine. As the Doctor or as a person? I think Gareth Edwards' upcoming Jurassic movie could be good. I think so. He's a good director. I liked what he did with Rogue One. The creator was good, if a bit slow, I think. But he's got a good visual style, so I think he could do a good job. What do you feel about The Last of Us TV show potentially going on for 4 seasons? We'll see. I think if they're basing 3 seasons on part 2, then that's a bit of a stretch. But if the 4th season goes beyond Last of Us Part 2 in terms of where the game ended, then I'd be interested in that. Because I personally feel like the best way to structure part 2 in the series is to split it over 2 seasons. To have season 2 be Ellie's season, then season 3 be Abby's season, plus the end in Santa Barbara, and then season 4 could be after that. So I don't know. It depends on the expansion that they want to do as well, because there might well be things they want to elaborate on. Who knows? I don't remember Jodie Whittaker in Attack the Block. I've seen the movie, but I didn't like it, so I don't remember her, I'm afraid. Sorry. Oh, cool. Okay, fair enough. A. Smith, I get you now. What would you think if they announced the Home Alone 7? Bang. Would you still want to see a Raimi Spider-Man 4 and the Amazing Spider-Man 3? I mean, I doubt it will happen, but yeah, I'd be up for either. I was quite sad when Amazing Spider-Man 3 was cancelled, but 2 was such a mess that doesn't surprise me. I mean, I feel bad for Andrew, but you know, it is what it is. Right, I'm gonna stop there. It's been 1 hour 45 minutes. So I'm going to call it a day, I'm afraid. But thank you very much all for your questions. I'll be back for another one at some point. And thank you very much for listening to me. And I will be back on the podcast channel to do more reviews. So until next time, see ya. Bye for now.